Saturday, September 3rd. I'm up Payson Canyon, and here's an older made structure, but you can see those sticks, I guess I'd have to call them sticks and not poles, have been laid there on the top. And this has got kind of a roof, a different sort of structure than we've seen in some other places. But this was definitely made by something. This is not just natural. I'm going to back off a little bit and see it better. This is not far from where the teepee structure that I saw yesterday is located. Here's what it looks like from somewhat the other side. You can see all these sticks lined up here. Maybe pine boughs that were leaned against those to create some additional warmth. This one definitely looks like it hasn't been used in a while, just because those sticks that look like they've been piled there for some time. And it's lower in elevation. There aren't a lot of aspens. So though there's a lot of down timber, there aren't a lot of tree leans here. These things are well enough concealed and blended in until you get right on top of them. You don't really notice them. I mean, I was 50 feet from this. And here's a large tree that's been laying across, and you can see how it pins over this tree right there, and that's used to pin down those bent over branches. And again, like I said, it's pretty ingenious because I've gone in and messed with these things and seen how sturdily they are made. Here's another what appears to be a bedding spot. I'm pointing at an area on the ground that is sunken in relation to the surrounding ground. So something's been laying there. Now that may have been a Sasquatch, could have been elk, bear, deer, who knows. But there's some branches that are bent down above it. I'll have to get back to get a picture of it to show that it would be an area somewhat sheltered, at least from vision, and possibly a little bit of rain or snow. I'll get another picture from another angle so you'll see it better. And here's what it looks like from looking into the inside. You can see these branches piled around here over some maples that were leaned over, and all this thrown up on top. Here's this larger tree that, in the style of how I see him pinned, it's pinned around with the branches so that it pins itself, and it winds up being usually a load-bearing structure. The load-bearing structure here seems to be these two trees in front bent over, and this larger tree that's bent over in the back. And then normally I'll pin them down here at the end. See how there are logs laid across the ends here to pin the structures down to hold them in place. They actually make them amazingly sturdy. They don't jiggle. You have to really make some effort to tear them apart. Now I'm further uphill. There's a huge mass of like fenced area all over the ground. And this X is kind of at the bottom of the fenced area. And both the slender pole to the right and the big heavy one to the left It basically looks impossible to be suspended there, but it's through a fork in the tree up there is how it's staying up. And the slender one underneath is being pinned against the tree by the large one. Neither of these are rooted where they're from. So they've both been moved here. And there's an awful lot of brush here, so it's hard to get a photograph of this, but I'll do what I can. I was going to say, well, I don't see any footprints up here, but I think that's the best one I've seen. I think that's got the best toes of anyone I've seen. Now, that's not particularly big. That's probably only about 12 inches or so. I hope that shows up as well in the camera as it does here, because boy, that's really clear from what I'm sitting, where I'm standing. I'll put my foot next to it, see how much wider it is at the toes, and it is longer. Again, I got a size 13. So, and that's the left foot. Boy, those toes sure look good from what I can see here. That'd be just about good enough to cast if I had casting material. To me, that looks like a hand. Anyway, that's interesting. That's about 6 inches around. Kind of stubby fingers. Be the thumb off to the upper portion. My foot next to it. Get an idea. Now, could it be a bear or something else? Yeah, I guess so. You know, not definitive, but who knows. I think this is a structure I saw on the way up here. These two logs, notice how they pin the large log. That's how they create stability in these structures. And, you know, it's amazing to me how close we are to where campers are. But this is Labor Day weekend, and this is the last camping weekend of the year here. These places will be empty from this point forward, with the exception of the deer hunt, where they'll be mobbed for basically one short week. And for the elk hunt, you get some up here. But the elk hunters are nuts. They all go way up too high. They all go up to way up in the top of the mountains. They should stay down low. This is where you see the elk. Anyway, this is the kind of fencing that you see. Trees laying all over the ground, making it very difficult for things to sneak up on who's ever in there.